Now, let us begin the second day program of Kim Dae-jung Peace Forum 2025. Good morning again. I'm Kim Kyung-mi, the host for today's program. Thank you, everyone. We had the opening ceremony and keynote lecture yesterday, revisiting President Kim Dae-jung's spirit of democracy, human rights, and peace, and finding a new vision for Korea and the world. To continue the journey, we will have a special lecture, which we hope will show the challenges ahead and the hope inspired by the age-leading intelligence and experiences.
HBM, 고대 역폭 메모리 반도체의 아버지로 불리는
Now let me invite Professor Joung-ho of KAIST, the father of high bandwidth memory or HBM. He will be talking about sustainable peace in the AI era in relation with AI's effective development and peace promotion. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Joung-ho.
네, 안녕하십니까?
Good morning, everyone. I am very honored to have this opportunity to speak at Kim Dae-jung Peace Forum 2025.
김대중 대통령의 헌신을 통해서
President Kim Dae-jung devoted to development of democracy so that we can now enjoy freedom and economic growth in this inclusive democracy and society. For about an hour, I will be speaking about AI. AI presents both opportunities and challenges. AI development drives the development of society, science, technology, and economy. And on the other hand, it may violate human freedom and rights. So, I will be focusing on how to use the technology in a peaceful manner. It will be a technical, social, and political talks, and I hope you will get some AI insights into the future. I suppose you use AI like ChatGPT. How it will look like in the future? Now is the generative AI times. 10 years ago, there were determinative AI and classification AI, which help people make judgments. Now, AI helps generation. In the future, agentic AI will come, followed by physical AI to be combined with robots. When you ask Gen AI to draw a Salvador Dali's face, half human and half robot, you get this in seconds. For a human drawing, a human would need years of training, and it takes more than an hour to draw it. So, Gen AI means you have Shakespeare, Picasso, Beethoven on your palm. And the same goes for music, text, and painting. So you can have that performance like in a jiffy. So having AI or not will create a great difference in productivity among people as well as countries. So I believe that AI will make or break a nation, a company, and an individual. More specifically, this slide captures one semester of my AI graduate class. When you put text in AI, you get this output. In between, there is AI networks called encoder and decoder. AI takes human languages and translates them through an encrypted system of prior and then decodes them back into human language. The number of parameters used in encoder and decoder would exceed a trillion level, even 1,000 trillion going forward. Here's a lot of matrix calculation happen. Semiconductors for the task are GPUs and recorded in memory. And the prior mechanism in between has been beyond our understanding in my lab. It is encryption. I think it is kind of voice of God. We have GPU and HBM so that we can hear God voice through AI, I thought. Not only drawing, AI composes music pieces too. In a Gen AI site, you can tell I'm in Mokpo and I see islands through the window and it is raining now. Compose a music on this mood. You will get this. Just even humming could be completed into a complete music piece. Or your humming could be composed into trot song. Or if you ask, you can turn them into symphony. Only a small piece could be completed into a full music piece. So I guess 99% of composers might lose their jobs. Your humming on a morning walk could be turned into different variations. When I wrote a poem about AI and asked AI to create a music, it generated like this. This is AI generated poem. I may be a machine, but I know how to love. I may not have a heart, but I can feel your love. I may not be human, but I know how to care and share. I may be artificial, I'm real. Just like a human writing, it has balance, contrast, and repetition in context. Please click the button and let's listen a music out of this. I may not be human, but I know how to care and share. I may be artificial, but I'm real. This is not my composition nor writing. It is AI generated, and it becomes such an earworm. You watch a TV. Let me ask, who sang the song 목포 is port? Singer 김난영? There is Samakdo Island. Looking over Samakdo Island, yes. I'll sing and dance when I teach my class, but here I stand in front of a lot of international guests, so I feel shy. Anyway, AI can generate songs. Humans don't have job to do. This is a video. I asked to create reflections in the window of a train traveling through the Tokyo suburbs. You can see the people reflected on the window. This is AI-generated video again. I asked to generate a video on off-road riding with dust kicking up. If this is a human making, a writer, producer, cameraman should travel to Yosemite for 3 days, spending more than 10 million won. You sit at your desk and create a drawing in 1 minute or 10 seconds. Then a writer, a producer, or a director should have nothing to do. I heard Sam Altman invested 140 trillion last week in Stargate project along with Jensen Huang. I expect the value would go over 1,000 trillion over time. Only China and the United States can afford that amount of money. If that happens, they will be able to create an hour film in 1 minute or redo it if output is not good. So this is what will happen with AI generating a film and etc. And I guess you would spend some time on YouTube to get information, to learn something, and to entertain. And I can tell you that in 10 years, most of YouTube videos will be AI created ones. So you watch them, you will get information, you entertain those AI creations. If so, we will get cultural input or information from AI, meaning that we observe AI feeding values and ideas. Then we do as AI indicates. So states, companies, and individuals dominating AI will rule the world. I mentioned there was classification AI in the past. Now it is Gen AI era. And agentic AI is coming, where AI works for us. We order AI to plan and write reports. The agentic AI will be followed by physical AI embedded in robots. And I expect the agentic AI will surprise the world 10 years and 30 years from now. Agentic AI is featured with autonomy, learning capability, workflow optimization, where it designs its own tasks, and multi-agent functions for composing and art creation, and environment interaction, where it interacts not only with me, but with the outer world. So it does not do a simple passive work, but a goal-oriented behaviors. I have been engaged in HBM research for like 20 years. So the Korean semiconductor companies have grown so much. The structure looks like this. It takes a massive design work, which my lab does with AI. This design task takes a high-level skills to the extent to master's degree or PhD degrees, plus 10-year or so experience in the field. This highly specialized domain work is done through AI. For the job, coding is needed. On the right, the coding is done by AI. AI actually did the semiconductor design programming and coding. This is an engineering drawing. There's impedance. Impedance indicates how well electricity is supplied. Lower impedance is the better. The right was done by my student. After much optimization, the blue lines are plotted, and the left was designed by AI. Not very different. For AI study, I need to get project assignment, pay my students, and help them marry as they reach graduation. And I need to get them find jobs. But for the left, all I need to do is to supply electricity. My students need rest time, breaks between semesters, and sleeping time. AI needs no sleep, no rest, no smoking. Students, humans, would live for like 100 years while AI does not die. Students tend to forget after taking exams while AI never forgets. And humans form labor union while AI does not. Human gives birth to 1 or 2 babies, while AI has no limitation in copy and paste. You may be amazed. Human is no match to AI. The only drawbacks of AI are it consumes a lot of power and water. It is expensive to use. And in my lab, as AI designs semiconductors and HBM, it does the work as well as talks with us. So when AI is asked, it answers. We've thought that AI is like a black box, not knowing what is going on inside. Now we talk with AI. And as a professor, I thought of myself what I do for the work. I provide consultation to my students for thesis, pick topics for them, and provide methodologies, supervise their presentations. All these work could be done by AI. I have only 1 year before retirement. Luckily, my students made assessment on supervising. AI versus me. Thankfully, my 9 students were kind enough to give me 4 and AI 3.6, but this will not be the case in the future. The AI technology is fast evolving. Agentic AI will be developed even further so that very specialized domains will be taken over by AI. Among many pros and cons of AI, could be hegemonic. If a specific state or company possesses AI, the rest will be isolated. The key is that there are semiconductors. Let me turn to semiconductors. This is my creation of last night. This is too difficult, but let me try to go easy. If I ask ChatGPT, where should I go today? Then the conventional AI will say, go to Mokpo Hyundai Hotel, but a new AI has inference capability. Then it will say, you are asked to deliver a special lecture. When is it? September? Where is it? Mokpo. Why Mokpo? Oh, Kim Dae-jung was born there. Should I drive? Or which station should I get off if I get on KTX? Then there are a lot to think. And then when should I be off? What should I take? I need running shoes for a morning running. Will it rain in the morning? Yes, a lot of thinking going on. All these steps are generated like on the right side through reasoning. All the thought processes are visible. So the tokens, which are the outputs, have increased 20 times. The ChatGPT pours out words, but if it pours out movies, the data volume increases like 1,000 times. This is my scaling rule. The AI model size would grow continuously. The number of agents, users, CPUs, HBMs, money, and power consumption and cost will increase. Recently, Sam Altman committed 140 trillion of investment. And please don't surprise that the value of combined companies after 3 years would go over 1,000 trillion. Then the demand of GPUs and HBM would increase 100 times than now. Then how much the stock prices of NVIDIA and Samsung and SK Hynix would rise is up to you. 10 years earlier, I kept saying to buy NVIDIA at seminars. Only few listened to me. Now, please refrain from leveraged buying. AI does massive inferences to create art, which takes matrix calculations. For this job, GPUs are needed for data. Data should be taken from somewhere, and that data sit in HBM. But writing and reading data takes more time than calculation. So bottleneck is with memory, not GPU. So the demand for GPM is very high, and it is fast in writing and reading. On the right, there is GPU looking like a department store, and it is connected with a shopping mall building. So you take an elevator into a department store and get something and keep your data in the shopping mall. The capacity, as I said before, is going to grow 1,000 times. So you need multi-story buildings. My lab and SK Hynix, AMD, and NVIDIA started to build this structure in 2010 when no one was interested in this. That's because memory chips are used for smartphones or PCs. A smartphone costs only $1,000. A laptop costs only $1,000. So a memory chip would not go over $100. So cheapest chip makers would rule the market. But now it looks that the chip would go by $10,000 soon. Times have changed. Now companies think that they need to dominate the AI at any cost. So investments are accelerating rapidly. The previous picture has only one HBM, and over years, the structure would need 4 GPUs and 30 HBMs. This is the NVIDIA's vision, shared with Samsung and SK Hynix. Recently, HBM3 became available in the market. HBM4, 5, 6, 7, 8 will come out, and HBM8 will soon be adopted by the end of 2030, like in this drawing. AI will be upgraded beyond our imagination. The key parts to AI are GPU and HBMs, and I told you HBM is more critical. Korea fortunately dominates 90% of the market. The rest 10% went to Micron. As Korea takes the center stage, the US attempts to grow Micron. So when you see the stock price graph, you can spot the price of Micron going up little by little, and China also jumped in. Now the global AI war has evolved from AI semiconductor war, which has spilled over to HBM. Under this circumstance, I want to bring up my personal dream. Today we are here for global peace, and we are living on a small land of Korean Peninsula. To play a key role, we need to safeguard this. Looking at the international relations, we are talking about peace. The opposite of peace is war. Global hegemony pursuit may cause a conflict. During the Cold War, the Pacific Force and the Continental Force were divided by the Atchison Line. Back then, Korea and Taiwan were out of the line. It might have caused a war in a sense. Now today, who decides the line? AI does. Hegemons sometimes cooperate, stand off, or coexist with a certain cycle. I cannot say for sure because I'm not a political scientist. It seems that now is when tension is escalating. From this perspective, the Atchison Line in the 1950s would be along with the nuclear weapons. As atomic bombs were invented, the World War II was over with the ideological war kicked in. Now is when AI is the determinant of the line. Further into AI, there are modeling technologies and data technologies, and both sides manage to keep their data and models. Now, semiconductors or HBMs are the determinants. The determinant roles are taken up by Icheon plant of SK Hynix, Pyeongtaek site of Samsung Electronics, and a plant in Kumamoto, Japan, and TSMC plant of Taiwan. Thinking about what protected Korea and kept peace could be, with some exaggeration, Hunmin Jeong-eum, the Korean leaders, leadership, and HBM in the future. So in my lecture, I would say AI holds a hegemonic power, and it states companies or individuals with AI power will rule the world. My second point is that the key of the hegemonic technology lies in semiconductors. They stand at the center of tension. As for the third point, yes, we need semiconductors for sure. Semiconductors are integrated in the AI data centers. 10,000 unit scale AI data centers should be built in Mokpo and Jeonnam Coast. I proposed this to the governor. By estimation, the price of one GPU or one HBM would go like 100 million won. So, we need 1 trillion won. As I said, we need 10 million units. That means we need 1,000 trillion won. The Korea's annual defense budget is only 700 trillion won. Given this AI war is a money game. This is a number of foundation models like ChatGPT by country, announced by Stanford University. The US has 109, China 20, Korea has none. But largely, this data says the landscape is divided into the US and China sides. And then who owns the foundation model? Companies like Google, Meta, Microsoft, and only 2 universities, including Stanford. That means colleges are no longer competitive in terms of basic research in AI and semiconductor age. They were touted as a source of knowledge in the past. Why? AI needs massive facilities. Semicons need factories. Foundation models need AI data centers, which require trillions worth resources. The scale of infrastructure determines the AI competitiveness. This is called the AI factory. All looks man-made, but things are churned out from semiconductor-driven AI factory. A factory enables mass production, mass consumption, and intensive production. This infrastructure should be located in Jeonnam area because of massive power consumption. This area has nuclear and solar power plants supported by Yeongsangang River and seawaters. They are coolants. They are about money. Nuclear power plants, environmental problems, ideological issues are intertwined. Photovoltaic power generation is not steady. For operation around the clock, the generate power should be stored, which also requires massive investment.
With a simple calculation, asking ChatGPT something like, "What should I wear today?" This consumes 18 watt-hours of electricity. That means using 18 watts for 1 hour. That's roughly the same amount of energy as using a smartphone for 1 hour. But GPT handles about 2.5 billion requests per day. If you sum them all up, the total energy used is 45 gigawatt hours per day. By comparison, the country of Bhutan uses 32.8 gigawatt hours per day. It's comparable to the daily energy consumption of a city like Malta. Then, is it fair in a world where we want all life to be respected, human rights upheld, and people to live in peace? Many have already talked about the positive sides of AI, since today's theme is peace. That's why I offer this perspective instead. I think AI is similar to nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons are dangerous, have radiation exposure risk, yet they also produce energy and enable technologies like X-rays. Thus, there are both positive and negative sides. The extremism that nuclear weapons produce, AI could produce even greater extremes or polarization. And because data centers and GPUs require massive computation, they get very hot, just like how our phones heat up. Thus, without cooling, they cannot operate. So there is research into immersing entire AI data centers in water for cooling. If something breaks, someone must repair it. Perhaps a diver would need to go in. But the water must be non-conductive, which makes it hazardous to humans. These are real imaginations that we can think of. Also, though it's a small note here, I will read only the first line. A modest 100 megawatt data center uses 2 million liters of cooling water per day, and that is roughly equivalent to the drinking water consumption of 6,500 people. Okay, in water-rich countries, this might not be an issue, but in desert regions of Africa or even in places like Gangneung, when rain falls and taps run dry, people suffer. But AI systems require high purity water. They cannot use ordinary industrial water. They require clean water, the same water we use for drinking. So the war around AI is ultimately a war about money. Now that we've discussed the economic issues, I will rapidly stimulate your imagination about what problems will confront individuals. First, AI does not spend money. Then the economy doesn't circulate. I earn money, but my wife spends it all. Fortunately, not on bad things. We don't spend much. We're busy with commuting and taking care of our grandchild. We have little time. I'd like to travel even to Jeju Island, but we cannot find the time. Because our daughter had a baby, our lives now revolve around that child's kindergarten holidays. And if my daughter goes on a business trip, we have to take care of the baby. So I end up not spending money either. But anyways, AI cannot spend money. Therefore, it cannot pay value-added tax or dine at restaurants. Then small businesses collapse. AI also does not pay taxes. Hence, a gap emerges between people who own AI and those who don't. Today in our country, what matters is apartment size, what school you attended. But in the future, it might be about how many GPUs you have at home. And when registering with a marriage agency, then they may ask, what does your father do? What is your home size? What car do you have? But it will soon be something like, how many GPUs do you own? This is inevitable unless you actively use AI, other than a small minority who develop AI. To maintain a professional job, you must use AI. The remaining 90% will be marginalized. Then what work remains? Only physical labor remains. So jobs like delivery riding motorcycles are left, and those tasks are too expensive for robots to undertake. Alternatively, as caregivers in nursing homes, that's harder for robots to do. Or maybe babysitting nannies, that might be possible, because what if a robot drops a baby? Thus, many people may lose their jobs. Then I asked AI to draw Admiral Lee Sun-shin, but it drew him like a Western admiral, something you now see on the left side of my presentation. And if asked to draw a stewardess, it invariably draws a white woman, as you see on the right side. So this shows AI holds biases. And if we only feed an AI a particular country's constitution and textbooks, my argument is that we will end up with a Korean AI, Japanese AI, Chinese AI, or American AI. Without your own national AI, then future generations might ask, what is your country's constitution? Whose territory is Dokdo? Then AIs might answer differently. Over a few generations, people's thinking could change. Thus, just as humans have ID numbers and passports, AIs might also have passports. I once gave an AI lecture in front of priests, and I asked, priests, have you ever seen God? Then, what if we teach AI the Bible diligently, thoroughly, and it might deliver sermons? Then would we have to go to a church? Confession might be done to AI instead of priests. Thus, AI may acquire religion. And most importantly, it does not die. Now another dangerous element. AI can wage war. I define war in 4 stages. One is the Vietnam War, where airplanes sent bombs. And in the Korean War, infantry fought over hills with guns. And they'd bomb infrastructure, take territory, and so on. But from Vietnam onward, people aren't sent, instead bombing to destroy infrastructure. Then supply chains, bridges are destroyed from afar, and they bomb key points to erode the will to fight. In the Iraq War, planes did not even go in. Missiles were launched from ships, and we watched it from home on CNN. In third-generation war, like those in Afghanistan or Ukraine, drones fight one another, and soldiers sit in offices controlling drones via joystick. Fourth-generation war will be AI versus AI, with no humans involved. If AI hacks an opponent's power grid or data center, the war ends before it begins. Therefore, I assert future wars will be a combination of drones and AI. If we apply AI to defense, what are the advantages? Our population is shrinking and birth rates falling, so the pool of military personnel decreases. So one option is to replace soldiers with AI. Also, AI enables war to be waged more cost-effectively, logistics, combat systems, and surveillance-wise. So, I expect in stage 1, AI will handle defense logistics, medical support, psychological support, finance, and personnel. And in stage 2, border detection, surveillance, analysis, and training. And in stage 3, AI replaces commanders. It will issue orders and devise strategy. And in stage 4, AI will make critical decisions, even pressing the button. You might think this is just imagination, but it is already happening. Thus, I believe AI is more dangerous than nuclear weapons, because while humans press the nuclear button now, an age may come when AI does it for you. So far, I've explained how AI is evolving, how it changes life, and what challenges lie for humanity. From the vantage of social, political, and economic development, I think AI might be as profound as humankind discovering fire. But fire can explode or cause wildfires, and humans suffer. So AI's impact may exceed that of the First and Second World Wars or the Industrial Revolution, perhaps 10 times greater even. Now let me speak of hope. So does that leave us powerless? Earlier, I mentioned a weakness of AI. It consumes a lot of electricity. And another downside is AI lacks love and forgiveness. It particularly cannot forgive. Let's say my wife and I argued yesterday, but nowadays we skip it because time is precious. My flaw is I remember everything someone said for days, but my wife sometimes forgets even fights from the previous day when she wakes up, and I realize her nature and personality is much kinder than mine. I try to resolve things logically without knowing details, but my wife just speaks kindly, says sorry, and it's over. So an important part of human forgiveness is forgetting. There was an old song, "Don't Ask About the Past." I sometimes sing at forums, but Kim Dae-jung Peace Conference is very important, so I refrained myself from singing too much. But anyways, people often reconcile by drinking, raising emotion, and then letting go, and then they forget. Whereas humans can forget, AI never forgets once it learns, so its resentment runs deep. Holding grudges is problematic, but how I manage grudges, if someone said bothers me or I feel they are somewhat dishonest, after 3 times, I distance myself from those people. And after 6 or 7 times, I might delay replying on chat. I don't cut them off entirely. I do this not to my family or friends, but AI, anyways, has no capacity for forgiveness or for reconciliation. This is perhaps AI's greatest flaw. It has no tears. I found in research that one can program AI to shed tears ironically. So when do I cry? Watching a drama or seeing the Hanwha baseball team succeed, even though Kia is underperforming, I feel joy. Watching I'm Solo show, how come they cannot marry? I am married. And watching divorce rehabilitation camp programs, I think I'm glad I didn't divorce. Anyways, humans have emotions, and in such moments we cry, but we could train AI to cry, but so far no major company or state has gone that far. Thus, as I said, AI still has no tears. So, in the future of coexistence, I don't think humans will defeat AI. We need to coexist, and I propose 3 things. First, we must understand AI well. To know AI well means being good at mathematics. So nowadays, I wonder, do we need to even learn foreign languages since AI will translate everything for you? I think the essentials we should teach are kindness, good hygiene, not lying, and math. And second, creativity, integrated thinking, and communication. AI still is poor at communication. Even GPUs communicating with each other is extremely difficult. That's called bandwidth. But humans can understand each other just by eye contact. Third, love, care, forgiveness, and reconciliation. So from childhood, the key things humans must learn are math, communication, and love. I sound like a pastor, right? Still, since humans seem disadvantaged, I propose forced competition rules between AI and humans. If someone ever quotes this, remember, at the 2025 Kim Dae-jung Peace Conference in Mokpo, I said this. Number 1, let AI be able to erase its memory. It learns, right? GPT now continuously learns. Let it erase memory after 10 years or at some point by constitutional amendment or by UN resolution. Today, our president presided over a UN AI conference. If they had asked me, I would have delivered this presentation, but his secretaries haven't contacted me yet. Anyways, second, limit memory capacity to within a few terabytes. Humans have finite memory capacity, but AI tends to expand memory infinitely and into many terabytes. So next, let it self-destruct after 100 years. Humans die too. That's how God designed us. The parents dies and the child continues. Number 4, limit to 25 watts. If I place my hand on my neck, it feels warm. That's about 25 watts. So even eating ramen or kimbap, I can be happy and function. But here we require several kilowatts. And then kept the daily operational cost at 8,000 Korean won. That was on old slide referencing Kimbap Heaven and transit cards. From next year, by the way, transit might be free, but charging 8,000 won per hour, that's like a minimum wage. And so 8 hours a day would be 24,000 Korean won. Have it pay taxes. Limit the number of copies or clones to at most 2. These are my proposals and thinking. So I think, though it won't be easy, organizations like the UN should discuss and debate these. But for this to be binding, like the International Atomic Energy Agency, only 6 or 7 nations hold nukes, and others are kept out. That's because the US, China, Russia developed nukes in a short span. AI is far more dangerous, yet there's no binding regulation now. Only declarations. Today, our President Lee Jae-myung chaired a meeting at the UN. But regarding AI, there is still no binding enforcement. We must eventually reach enforceable regulation. When that time comes, ask the press. I proposed these ideas. Next, to avoid becoming slaves to AI, we must use it wisely. So I submitted these 4 stages and teaching requirements to the Ministry of Education. First, produce talents, masters and PhDs specializing in math and capable of developing AI itself. Then, regardless of major, be science, engineering, medicine, arts, literature, make AI study mandatory in university. Just as all students learn math, all should learn to use AI. Then introduce AI as a subject in all high schools and establish AI magnet high schools. This doesn't mean I promote private education, but I believe knowing AI is needed so we can control it and not be dominated by it. So the most important subject is math. When I was in middle and high school, there was a local abacus academy, and in high school, you studied abacus and had to pass levels to get hired by trading firms. But now, calculators do all the computing. We use Excel more flexibly. These days, we don't even do addition or subtraction ourselves. We just swipe our cards via phone. And when my salary arrives, do I ever see the cash? It's just a number in the bank. And tax calculations and restaurant change. 10 years ago, you received money, counted and gave change and put the rest in your wallet. But nowadays, hardly any cash is used. What I argue is our education remains stuck right there. Memorization and arithmetic. Memorization-based education after graduation is mostly useless. Even the top personal trainers can pull it up instantly. The ChatGPT can do everything for you. Therefore, I believe that if humans are to live peacefully with AI, schools must evolve. Now we still have exam-oriented schooling, and that exam system is based on fixed answers. In university entrance exams, I think AI would outperform everyone. But we spent 6 or 10 years training for that, and we even send children to tutoring institutions at age 4. We live in a world that seems so fertile indeed. Now let's move toward the conclusion. We worry. If we cannot educate ourselves about AI or master math, what if AI sees us as enemies and attacks? The only solution is to unplug the electricity. Thus, I propose changing the Constitution's first article. Currently, the Republic of Korea is a democratic republic. I suggest making it the right to supply electricity to AI is reserved to humans. Now, my conclusion. Everything has two sides. AI gives us opportunities, but also challenges and tasks. So here's what I believe. If we develop or use AI, whether by nation, company, or individual, it must be AI for humans. It must be by humans, controlled by humans, and human-centered AI. By the people, for the people, of the people. Who said that? I spontaneously said it. Was it Kennedy? Oh yes, it was Lincoln. I would have better asked ChatGPT. My memory is fading too. So a few days ago, I asked AI, write a poem about HBM. And it wrote this. I will read it now. Under the lights deep at night, countless drops of sweat scatter like stars. The small lines toward the future continued. Tower of memory built from refined wisdom, river of speed. And in that final line, today again, in that tiny gleam, we shall rise and sing. HBM, you are Korea's future. I think it's well done at about a middle school level. It was nothing special. My prompt was write an HBM poem for my lecture at the Kim Dae-jung Peace Conference. And it wrote it in 1 second, but it's not very moving. It's flattering languages, words I like to hear. It's like a poem posted on a subway wall. Gwangju must have subways too, right? I think only of HBM all day. When I go home and I need some rest. One way is golf, but that takes time, so I just watch sports highlights. But when I read poems in subway stations in Seoul, there is no impact. Let me read this poem now. It is green grape. My hometown July is when green grapes ripen. The legends of this village unravel slowly. The distant sky dreams grains of light piercing and embedded. Child prepare for our table a silver tray and a white cloth. Why do I like this poem? Because his life, poetry, and death aligned. He lived for independence and had prison number 264 and died in the Daegu prison. Not only him, but his siblings also fought for independence and died after hardship. That museum is located in Andong. So his life influences me, but the imagery and sound and the taste of green grapes all combined evoke emotion. Fortunately, AI still cannot compose such poetry. So today, with a message of hope, I will conclude my lecture here. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Professor, thank you very much. Please be seated at your seat again. It was a time rich in deep insight, and because the lecture was prepared so warmly and enjoyably, the time passed without us realizing it. Truly a special talk. I hope this was a moment for you to ponder how AI and semiconductors might contribute to peace and the future of humanity. Thank you. This was the first special lecture on the second day of our conference. We will now take a short break and resume with the first session at 11. See you soon. Thank you.